Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the hottest marriage show in town. My name is John, better known as Too Much Me, a.k.a. the Habitual Thought Challenger, a.k.a. Be Quiet. What up, dude? How you doing?
I'm fine. Don't be saying be quiet.
I'm telling myself to be quiet because I'm just running it. And sometimes that's what's going on. Like, golly, you just like to hear yourself talk. And that's not even the case. I don't like to hear myself talk, but I do like to be a source of help for people.
Okay.
And I feel like when I talk, I can help people. I know that sounds really whatever, but I do feel that way. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Are you? So what does your well look like? Because your doing well sounds the same every time. And I don't know, like if
I don't have any active stressors that I can think of. Everything is kind of just
you're fairly
chill.
balanced.
Yeah, I feel all right. I don't feel like there's anything that's stressing me out. I can easily laugh. I'm not all sad and cryy or anything like that.
What makes you cry now? Like what idea, what thoughts?
What makes me cry now? I guess sometimes I struggle with us transitioning back in the house. I cry because I'm frustrated with where I am. That's my thing right now. Like we've talked before about our temporary living environment, and y'all know I hate it. And so just being frustrated with where we are, my surroundings, because I really like my surroundings to be aesthetically pleasing, as all people would. And so sometimes I get frustrated with where I am now, and sometimes I get frustrated and I cry not out of sadness but sometimes out of frustration with when you have transitioned back. Before, I had gotten into a very unhealthy pattern of, if we were having conflict or whatever, I would just, like, we would talk on Marco Polo, and then I could just stop talking, and then be able to kind of get myself together, and then we would get back on and we would talk. Now we're together at all points in time, and I can't just shut things off when I want to, and I get frustrated, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to just kind of get myself together faster, because now it's like, we're interacting, and I don't want to be in a house and have these pent up feelings. Before, I could just stop talking to Marco Polo. The kids didn't know one way or another because, I was interacting with them as if all things were normal.
Yeah.
But here, like, if I'm frustrated with you and I can't speak with you, I don't want that energy around the kids. I want them to feel like, I want things to be as normalized as possible. I don't want the false representation that relationships, when they grow up, they'll be like, my parents never argued, or my parents were never, I don't want that, but I just don't want to bring down their energy. And so sometimes that level of frustration is so much stronger now because you and I are in the same space, and I've had like a year and a half of being able to cope in a different way. So now you're here, and I have to, like, I feel like I need to push through whatever my feelings are, speed up to the point in my head of what is it you really want from this man, so you can tell him so that we can solve this. I have to be faster than I was before, and it's a little frustrating. And so, it's just the transition of, he's right here. you can't shut him out, and you're looking at him, and we're operating in the, like, get over it. And I don't want to get over it to the point where I ignore it and then it festers and it becomes something else. Like, it's just pressure to move faster than I did before.
So what is it that you do want then? Since, like, I know you said that, you know, trying to figure out what you want so you can tell me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've noticed, you know, from the last couple of times where our interactions was limited, some of the things that you've said or some of the things that I've said, and I've just recognized that I've recognized a lot of more of your behaviors that I didn't pay attention to before. And it's crazy how I was so consumed within myself that, you know, I wasn't able to actually, I guess, comfort you in a way that a husband probably should comfort his wife. And when I say that, I'm not saying like when we get into it, that we just go our separate ways until we come back, but a way like, you know, how you said it was 2 days before, and then this last time was one, mm-hmm. When we weren't talking. I think it has a lot to do with me understanding what happened and to try to be able to say it in a way for you to be like, okay, he's really trying and he's not trying to be a butt about it, where you can be more likely to open up. And what I noticed that you'll open up faster once you feel like there's a level of security with me. I think there's a level of security that I don't provide that allows you to feel like it's just like the kids. The kids rather go to you on a lot of the issues because, you know, if it's a sensitive area for you, nobody wants to be judged or feel like they're going to get chewed out by the looks, mannerisms, or tones from the person that they're talking to. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating because I know that I have those behaviors, but what makes it more frustrating is that trying to change it, because like I told you, I want to be an asset. I don't want to be a liability. And listening to some of your responses made me think, like, how did you get the woman that cares about you so much to like not really want to deal with you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can I change it? But I've already, in my head, I've already figured it out. It's just like, I just got to go through these bumps and bruises. With you, just like looking at how you act, your behavior's changed already, just because I've changed. And when I say that, is like, I don't like your behaviors before. Like, if I was really engaged, I'm like, golly, but your behaviors was because I was causing you to act that way because you had to have your own safety net and I wasn't there for you. And I want you to know that I do think about these things. Like, when I'm away and I just get to like drift, I drift on ways to make sure that if you're frustrated and it's tight, you know, not feeling like being bothered by anybody, that you can eventually come to me, because you're like, you know what? I remember when I wouldn't have told you this because I already know like how you would have responded. But I am totally working toward that, becoming that person.
I don't doubt that.
But I want to be that person. But I want you to know it's difficult when I don't even know how to really do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know that when me and you get into it, there's a part of me that says, okay, what are you going to do different? You know? And like, I thought about writing and sending polos. I was like, I've done these before. I'm like, so yesterday was pretty cool because I had already rehearsed some things in my head. And so I was like, okay, how does this sound? Does this sound mean? Does this sound, you know? So when I told you that hey, listen to this, y'all. I had created so many scenarios just in case you said I was making excuses. I had made rabbit holes just in case she wanted to go here. I can tell her that's the reason why I thought this, because I didn't think this was going to be sufficient enough for her to respond. So I said, if this isn't good, you can say this. But ultimately, I just wanted her to know that it wasn't on purpose. But I was willing to find whatever that was going to be good enough for her to be like, okay, you know, like he didn't do this and he's really trying. Because to me, all I could do was like, you know what? Whatever she thinks I did it for, let's find out what it was. And then I had created like 7 or 8 scenarios.
That's work.
Just in case. She said, but you just said this. I said, I know I said this, and this is why I did this. But I felt like yesterday she saw a part of me that was willing to do whatever. And like I said, I mean, I've seen the difference in our relationship. And I'm so excited about, you know, a month from now, because I've seen so much. I mean, like, I've been back not even 6 months, and I feel like so much has changed.
Yeah.
And I know you said you don't doubt me, but I do want this to be less painful for you, because I know that when you get there, first of all, if you cursing in your car to Tupac because of your husband, like, you know, I'm doing too much.
Hey, me and Tupac were for real bonding.
Tupac and too much. See,
No,
I knew it.
No, 2 different dudes though. I think.
Very.
Yeah, I know you're working. I do. I recognize that, and you know, I think that I recognize that this transition has been difficult for me. One, because so I've lived by myself all of 2 years of my life. And I really, I can't. Yeah. Okay. By myself completely 2 years of my life. And I really enjoyed it, because if you guys have not figured it out, I love to be alone. But, and so while you are gone, it allowed me to just be me and not have to think about anyone else. And now I'm back to interacting with you. And because you are so active, you always want to interact. You always want to talk. You always this, you always that. It's been a bit of a transition for me, and I understand why. It's almost like you've been catching up from, previous years, and us being able to really, really build a for real friendship. Like, people talk about how they married their best friend. I really, really loved John. I do love him. But when we were getting married, or when we were dating of some sort, I really just loved his energy and how he made me feel. He just made me feel excited. And I wouldn't say, he definitely wasn't my best friend, and I wasn't his. And but I definitely I was not somebody who said I married my best friend. But I wanted it. It just wasn't what it was. That wasn't what it was at that point. And so now I feel like we're building that kind of friendship. And I admire people who say they've married their best friend. But I feel like we're getting to that now, which I appreciate. But as I was saying, it just takes a lot out of me to be stimulated 90% of the time versus before. My baseline preference is probably 50. I'm good at 20, but I'm living at 90. And so it's been a lot to process, a lot of talking, a lot of sorting out of what did you think then and what do you feel like now, and having to do all of that. It's been a bit overwhelming. But it's been helpful. I feel like we're like on the accelerated course.
Yeah. We're definitely, so what we're going through now, Did you expect this at the beginning?
I think no, I didn't. Well, yeah, okay, so in the beginning, I expected, conversation. I expected to be able to just hang out and like exist in the same room together sometimes. Dating, now I feel like it's all of that on steroids. Um, so when we first got married, I expected us to be able to hang out, enjoy one another, you know, but kind of like what we're doing now. It just seems like it's like makeup time. It's a lot of talking. And not that I don't like it. It's requiring me to use my brain a lot more than I've had to in recent months or years. So it's a bit much.
Yeah. Look, I was thinking, like, you remember there was a time where I was like, we don't even talk anymore. You was like, we do talk. Do you understand that now?
That was me operating on my 20%. And I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but I feel like that when you were saying that's kind of different. I'm very much so somebody that kind of likes to be on my own, but when I want to go out and have a good time, I want the option. And when we were living over there in Abu Dhabi, I didn't have any friends. Like, I didn't interact with anybody because I didn't work. I was at home most of the time. So during that period, I got introduced to some women who were like my kindred spirits over there. And I kind of, I went all on the friendship end. I was like, hey, we about to do this. We about to do that. It was like I was playing catch up from the last few years of being there. And I was constantly stimulated by my friends and by the kids and by my job at the time. And John, so that, yeah, when you were saying we don't talk, I was like, what? I'm like the most active I've been in years, but it just wasn't with you. It wasn't
well,
with you.
So I can give you a better idea. So the conversations that we have very often now, we used to have those probably like, I don't know, once or twice a week. It wasn't often, but it was often enough that I know that when we weren't having them, they weren't happening anymore. And I was just like, we don't talk anymore. He's like, what are you talking about? We do talk. Yeah, small talk. But we didn't like sit down and just talk. And I was like, I didn't know how to explain that until you said, we're kind of like just catching up on all these years on conversations or whatnot. And it's a bit overwhelming because it's I know why it's tiring also, because I'm learning how to communicate. It's almost like when you're trying to teach somebody a new language and there's no break time, and then you're like, this is what this means, and you're like, I don't understand, and just keep bumping heads until you figure it out. But I think by me moving so fast, it's like maybe in a couple years, we'll have an altercation. Very rare, but it just literally, it won't be to miscommunication.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we'll, by that time, I think, have a good idea of what the person would be thinking under particular circumstances.
Okay.
And I enjoy this part of the relationship, because when I talk to you, this is what I look forward to. I look forward to getting to know you to the point where I have the least amount of events that can cause you unhappiness. So that's what I get out of talking to you. Like there's a reason for everything. So me getting to know you on a different level is to make sure that I don't hurt you. They said that a man won't make a woman cry, or a real man won't make a woman cry, or I don't know what the saying is, but it's one that a man will be there when a woman will cry, but a real man won't ever make a woman cry, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like different levels. And me, like, I want to be there for you when you cry, but if I can get you to not cry because of anything that's like around me, that means I'm doing what I would think that a woman would want.
Okay.
So that's what I work toward. So like when I'm talking to you, it's not just to get on your nerves.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and I know that you're doing your part to with the things that are within your power. You're doing what you can, and on my end, I didn't say I had a therapist last summer, and I've been bouncing around the idea of returning back to therapy with a different therapist though. So I looked into it again just because I need to sort out my own stuff. Like those things that are within my power to do to learn how to navigate in my new space with this newly energized husband, with my kids exploring life, including my nephew, and us navigating that, and, wanting to move forward in goals and not be as much of a procrastinator and acting on, all of my issues. I really, really admire you always saying you're working hard, you're trying your best, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I recognize that there's so many things, like I said earlier, I'm really overwhelmed sometimes to tears. And I just need somebody to help me sort out this. It's like, when somebody get a necklace and then they roll it in their hand and then it's all knotted up, and you got to figure out how to undo it all. I gotta do that.
One night at a time.
Yeah. And so, I appreciate when you're like, I need to, I'm constantly trying to do this and learn this and do that. And I gotta do my part. You know what I'm saying? You can't make me happy. You can add to my happiness. But I'm supposed to be making myself happy and making sure that I feel balanced. And I really can't do that for you. Like, I can't support you and build and add to your happiness if I don't have my stuff together. So, that is, you're doing your thing. I need to add to that.
Well, I think, that was hard for me to like. I think that's a lot of times you and I would bump heads because you weren't moving the way that I think or thought that you should have moved. And then it's crazy, as early as yesterday, or as late as yesterday, I realized that even though I'm putting all this effort into the relationship, that I cannot be clouded by results because I started so because I've started so late.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I started in 2007,
yeah,
like our life would be different. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, look, just because you figure something out in an amount of time, don't mean she wasn't already ahead of your butt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't be bothered by how you're moving, because you've been bothered the way that I was moving the whole time, and you didn't beat me up over the head. So I get it, and it's a constant battle with trying to be your calm instead of like giving you that anxiety, like as if you don't already know. You know what I'm saying? So I do. Yeah. So I do want you to know that's one of those things that I do think about, how I can least stress you out.
Thanks.
But this is the problem though.
Yeah.
I feel like the least way to stress you out is not to open my mouth.
Oh.
But my point is, by me opening my mouth allows you to get through the rough, the rocky part of it, and then we can get to the point where I don't have to open my mouth as much, because like I said, like I want you to be happy like me, and I know that you're not happy like me because some of the things you say, not toward me, but just in general, like happy people don't say.
Yeah. Well, I'm a complicated person. I got a lot going on.
I look, and I get it, and I just want you to know, like, however it goes, that I've come to the conclusion that at some point you will get to wherever you need to turn it around, but I will always be there. Like, you ready this time? You ready this time? That's what I want to do. I don't want you to be like, don't be wasting my time.
Don't be adding on to this. Yeah.
So I am like, I've gotten to that point where, you know, like if you're having a bad day, all I can do is try to reduce it, you know, and I can't think that I'm going to make you happier than you are because you're responsible for that.
Yeah.
And then that was a tough pill for me to swallow because, you know, thinking about maybe a lot of your unhappiness was because of me.
Well, I think that, I think that it's a multitude of things. Not excluding you and I and how this, you know, we've gone through this, but it's a multitude of things. And so me sorting out those things, like even as deep as understanding my relationship with my dad as a child and how it's reflected now, even me trying to figure out my relationships with my family, who want more from me now, and I'm looking like, why are you even trying to talk to me right now? You wasn't around then, or what are you doing around? Like I have webs of things that have gone on unchecked for years, and it just makes my day to day, like they don't bother me from day to day, but I understand that it seeps into other things in my life. And so I gotta be a big girl. And, you know, half the time, most of the time I've gone through my life and not even known that these things were impacting me in the least bit. And the more I think about what I want for Day as she gets older and the garbage I don't want her to carry, and how I can like stop certain things from impacting her, I'm realizing the things that it requires me to look deeper in myself. And I'm like, dang, Kanika, it's a lot of stuff that I've been known as. I'm the type of person that if you give me too much of a problem, then I just quit you completely. And then I'll be like, you know, and then you want to engage with me. I'll be like, no, that's all right. But I never really addressed what bothered me or hurt me. And all of that stuff, I just put it in my little bag and carry it, drag it on around with me. And I'm modeling that for my daughter, even though she's probably the most lighthearted, whimsical, fairy-like child in the world. Like,
whimsical.
Yeah, I guess. You know, I want to heal myself day to day more because I'm afraid of what I'm projecting to my kids and I don't see, but they do. So,
I think,
that includes how I interact with you.
Oh, I know. I've done a bunch of rabbit holes on this too. I don't really worry about them because they've seen the worst
of who we are.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And that eating, we did a really good job at hiding it.
We did, maybe.
But I'm saying,
I feel like we did.
Yeah. I mean, like, just think about that. Even when we had times, they didn't say just recently they said something like, is everything okay? Like, I think it was in December, Day came out, was like, I've never heard you guys talk like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, last year.
Yeah.
She was like, you yelled.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, is everything all right? And I'm like, yeah. Because, you know, what I used to do is I would have problems, and whatever was going on, I wouldn't say anything until the end of the night when we got in the room all by ourselves. And I would have thought all the way through the day how I was going to say this in order for you to be able to receive it and not go off the deep end. And if it got to the point where voices were raised, it's like, okay, let's bring it down.
Yeah, you're really good at that too.
Yeah, and I think that I used to be bothered by that because I'm like, when you would do something that was, to me, overtly disrespectful, I'll be like, okay, wait, I'm going to wait. I'm going to act like nothing's going on, and I'm going to wait until we can be alone. But what I felt like it was possibly doing was teaching Day that men can act a certain way and women just stay quiet. She didn't know that we were working stuff out, or Dallas, either one, or Darius when he was there, they didn't know that we would go back in that room and there were real
that's a
conversations
horrible message for them to get.
Yeah.
We need to fix that. Well, at least have a conversation. Like, when we when our voices were raised, it wasn't that your mother agreed with what I was doing. She just decided to wait later in the evening to have a conversation because we didn't want to present
right.
Yeah, we should have that conversation with them.
Yeah, and at the time, I know I said it to you. I said, I get tired of coming back here and having this conversation because what they see is you doing whatever you want, and then
I didn't understand that then.
I'm trying to figure out, and then we go back in the room. They don't know it's real conversations back there where I'm like, don't talk to me like that, and blah blah blah. There was no show of me and you working through anything. Not that they need it. And there's a delicate balance because kids don't need to know every argument a parent has or whatever, but they do need to know that, number one, there needs to be a respectful relationship.
Correct.
And number two, in the instance where I felt like the interaction was not appropriate, I waited and then had the conversation privately with you. And they don't get to see us work through anything. Not that they should have to, but I want them to understand that conversations were had and people understood one way or another. This is how I felt and this is what I feel should be done to make it better next time. Like, they don't see that. All they see is whatever rah-rah we had, and then I'm quiet. And then the next day we come out and everything is fine.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to feel like that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
like my mama never argued with my dad. My dad just did. My mama. I don't want that.
Yeah. That's a horrible message to send. But it's so crazy. Like, I was thinking about. I think you said it before, where you were like, we shouldn't. We should have conversations when we have disagreements in front of them so that they can see how a conversation can be had when it's a disagreement without people yelling and disrespecting people.
Not the heavy hitter conversations, but
correct. But
those
even
little things,
any of them, like I just didn't consider the idea of the message that it was sending. Like, if I said something that may have been out of line and you kind of just let it go, it's like teaching a behavior that they don't even see that it's being handled. So I totally get that.
Yeah, and even in that moment where Day was like, you never yelled before, I had to tell her, I said, sometimes you get upset and your emotions just erupt. And this is one of those moments where my emotions erupted. Because I want her to know that I didn't, the anger and the that I felt, that was like, I needed it to feel like I released those emotions. And sometimes I feel like you don't recognize how important something is to me or how it hurts me because I calm or I smother the intensity of my emotions. Like, by the time you talk to me, you don't get cussing Tupac. You get someone that comes in and says, now look, I don't feel like that was, that didn't help me or that hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that you fully understand how something hurts me because I remember when we used to fight, I used to fight by email. We used to fight when we were younger in arguments. I felt like he could not truly understand how I felt about something. And so I would go in and I would write an email and I would write the email exactly how I felt. That email was like full of cuss words and me pulling back examples from out of the past and all kinds of other stuff. And I would save the draft and I would come back when I was calm and I would revise it so that my words were clear, but my emotion was taken out of it. Because I sent the email because, number one, when we used to argue, John would always try to find the point where he could take that point you said and he would turn the entire conversation into that one point and reverse it on you. And you would be like, that's not even the whole point of what we're talking about. That's not even important. And so what I figured out is I'm not going to get caught up in that nonsense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to him and I'm going to take the emotion out and I'm only going to keep in the things that he can reread over and over again and process what I'm saying. And then he can come and talk to me. And so he got cussed out, but he didn't know. And then I went back and I edited it and then I was sending, it'll be a long ass email, but I felt like I was completely heard.
Yeah.
And there was no way that he could argue and take me off track and manipulate the conversation and redirect the blame or any of those things that he learned to do before. I stopped all that. And then I knew that everything I intended to say was said. And there was no way he was going to stop me from getting my feelings out. And the only thing is had he read it and I had shown the intensity of my emotion with my language, he would not have been able to get through it to even process what I was saying. Even though to him, it would have just been a woman on a rampage. But being able to revise it, it was like there was no arguing that I was wrong in what I was doing. And there was no way of stopping me or making me feel like, forget it, he'll never understand and I'm just going to move on with my I'm just going to try to do better next time. Like, I wasn't doing all that. But, I really appreciated that part of our relationship where I was doing that because I felt like it slowed you down from being a jerk in a conversation.
Oh, yeah. And I'm thankful for that way to communicate because like you said, it did all of those things. When I don't have anybody to talk to, I have to like soak in what's being said. And those were very effective at the time.
But I also feel like you didn't understand the intensity of my emotion around it.
Oh, no, not that was misleading also.
Yeah.
Like, when I view you, when I think about it, all I think about is this mature young lady who doesn't lose her cool. It's so crazy when you was like, you cursed Tupac and I looked at your face and it was like, it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke.
It wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know that part of you. And I although I do know that you like curse people out in the car, like from road rage or whatnot, but I don't know the part of you that you get so frustrated where you can't tolerate.
Yeah, because I feel like, that's not going to contribute to me getting to what I want. So it's no point in acting like a donkey. But I do recognize that I need to get it out. And I recognize that it has to be said and done. And I don't deny myself my emotions and my feelings, but I feel like, is that when I approach the person, is that really gonna give me what I want? No. So, the intensity of my emotions, that's for me. But if I want people to change their behavior or how they act toward me, I have to learn how to take that emotion out and give them the deliverables that I need.
I can dig that. I know like this episode we're closing, but I want to know how did you develop those techniques? I think you put so much effort into our relationship in the beginning that Like, were you really just trying things out, or is this something that you kind of knew, like, well, let me do this? Like, was you shooting from the hip, or like what?
Oh, no, I definitely, through college, I referred to my, I went to my best friend a lot about you, and we laughed because we together have a PhD in John D. And, and I will tell anybody, when they say talk about your strengths and your weaknesses in job interviews, and one of them is always adaptability for me. And what I learned quickly is in every interaction with you, I learned how better to interact with you to get what I wanted or what I felt like I needed. A lot of times it was walking on eggshells, and I hate walking on eggshells. So let me figure out how I can get what I want and get, things back to where I need them to be. I think that growing up, I never really faced as much pushback as I had with you. But by the time I figured out, once when you meet somebody and you just love to be on them and touch them and all that other stuff, when we got together, when we were finally, it was you and I, the shininess faded quickly because it was 24/7, right? And so then I had to say, okay, so if this is what my life is going to be, I have to figure out how to work this. And that ability to adapt really flipped into gear. So if I've worked, like, I'm not going to bang my head against a brick wall with you over and over again. I have to find a way to get past those ways about you that stop me from getting what I want. And so that was probably one of the best strategies I used, because you were very manipulative in arguments and stuff. And it wasn't fair for me to love you the way that I did and want to live a life with you and feel like the entire time I was being turned around from what was hurting me and then redirected, and then it just was going unanswered. And so I was going to find a way to get from you what I wanted. And the only way to do that was to allow you to shut up long enough to hear me. Because if anybody loves you and all they're asking is for you to hear them so that you can still be happy, you just want to love them and be happy at the same time. That's all I wanted. I wanted to love you and still be happy and feel fulfilled. And I couldn't do that unless I started teaching you how to love me. But I had to get you past that feeling of, oh, she's attacking me, so now I need to just stop. Forget what she's trying to do. It sounds like she's saying something's wrong with me and it's an attack, so I need to stop it and redirect her. I had to get you past that.
Yes. Well, because, like, check this out. It was just a defense mechanism to take off the heat. Like, if I was taught to deal with things that went wrong versus trying to hide them or try to deflect them, it would have been different. But now, like, shoot, I wanted to stop. So that's why I've been so solution oriented, because I used to deflect so much.
What do you need me to do? Yeah. Well, now, no. It was a lot of, now looking back, it was a lot of work on my end as a young woman. And I'll even say I was a young girl, even though I was 26 when we moved in together. I started trying to figure out how to work around these things even earlier. Like, we met when I was 20, and it's a lot for a girl to figure out. And I'm glad that I made it out on the other side with skills that were transferable. I use those skills all the time. I use them as a nurse. I use them in my job now. But it was a lot.
It was. And I want to thank you again for, not having the best guidance in your life.
Shut up.
Not being able to recognize things that may not be the most healthiest for you.
Generations. This is one thing I say is the generations before us, every woman, the next generation learns a little bit more. And
I think you broke the roof.
No, when I talk, I feel like when I listen to younger women now talk to me about setting boundaries, they are. Like, I definitely have figured some things out from watching my mom and figuring out how I need to. But when I listen to younger women and how they set strong boundaries about how they will be treated, they're doing it. And I, the only problem is that I hope that these, the men that are their age counterparts are also learning that it's okay for these women to set these boundaries because they're protecting themselves and establishing how they want to be loved, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, every family is different. So women are looked at as different. I know that the men in this household, when they go out, they're going to respect any and everybody.
Yeah.
I would like
That's
to say,
goal.
I don't really.
That's the expectation.
That is.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to fail it. I think, they have mistakes or whatnot. But I think overall, they're going to get it. And like, I'll say you have led a great example of disguising the bad. But I can say now, though, going forward, like whatever they see is genuine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they can even us telling them, like, you're not going to see us argue, but we do have discussions in the back. So just bringing them, aware of what's going on. Yeah. Yeah. But before we get out of here, is there anything or anybody you want to give a special shout out to?
I want to give a special shout out to my best friend, Lynn, because she has literally been my little baby therapist since I was maybe 13, 14. And support is important. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, shout out to Lynn. Like I love this young lady, even though we don't talk as much as we used to. Like in the last few years, she was my little therapist also. But I know she's doing well, and definitely shout out to you. I also want to give a shout out to any and everybody who's listening, because you're special and you're beautiful. And if you've taken time to listen to us, it's because you either believe in us or you want to take something from us so you can grow. And we appreciate your time. And we love you all. And that's from the bottom of our heart. Make today better than yesterday, and don't worry about anything you can't control.
Yes, keep your head up. Ooh, child, things are going to get easier.
Boom.